that time of year again. We're looking at the top 10 Hasbro Transformers of 2023. The only way I got it figured.
The way I got it figured.
What's up, figure fans? Way I got it figured back with another round of top 10 videos for 2023. We're starting off this year with the robots in disguise, the Transformers. Overall, I kind of feel like this year might have been a little bit down in terms of what I was able to select as top 10 figures. I definitely bought more in 2022. And I don't want to put it down to like the quality is worse or bad or anything like that. That's not it. There were figures outside of G1 that we got. There were figures, Cyberverse figures, stuff like that. And I really wanted to diversify my list, make sure I got a little bit of everything in there. But as I was assembling the figures to do the video, I was like, well, I don't know, this is how I feel about this guy right now, right? So it ended up skewing weirdly a little bit. I had intended to have a couple of figures in this list that didn't make it. So, it is what it is. It's my list. It's just an opinion, and it's not indicative of my love or dislove of any branch of Transformers collecting, that there's not any technically non-G1 characters in this list. But upon handling the figures, these were the ones that I just was like, yeah, this guy's cool. I'm still feeling this figure. I'm vibing off of this figure. So, now United is out, and there was the opportunity or the potential for a United figure to end up in the list, and that figure is Windblade. I got her last week from Hasbro Pulse. They shipped, so I got her. And she is going to be the final review of 2023. So by the time you see this video, this will already have been reviewed separately on the channel. And I'm not going to, even though I got her in 2023, United is technically the 2024, assortment, the 2024 line. And so I'm going to reserve her for 2024. So, that said, let's get into it. So I've got everything out here assembled. I'm doing it a little bit different this year. All the figures are here that are on the list. And I'm just going to go down, starting with the Soul honorable mention. And this time, that honorable mention, which is probably fairly conspicuous, is Menasor. Why is Menasor an honorable mention? Why is he on this list for 2023? Because Breakdown came out in 2023, and even though he's a retool and he wouldn't be on the list by himself, he did complete the Menasor Super Warrior. To me, Menasor was completed in 2023, and then of course they did release the toy color version in September. So I could have not used this one and just used that one. But I'm just gonna go with this one. So that's your honorable mention. At number 10, we're going to go with two guys. So these guys are splitting the vote. For number 10, we're going to be doing Bombshell and Shrapnel, not necessarily in that order. These guys are completing the original Insecticon Trinity from the G1, lexicon. Of course, we also had deluxe Insecticons from a toy standpoint, from a show standpoint, and a comic book standpoint. We only had the 3. They have indicated that they are going to complete the deluxe Insecticons, and we got Ransack in a 4-pack last year, so that's cool. That's good to know. These guys are number 10 on the list. I might have given Shrapnel a higher place in the list, but with him and Bombshell splitting, I think they're both just as good as each other, but they are also partial retools with the lower parts being the same. So that's why I picked them as number 10. We're going to be entering a time where, molds are just going to be less original. They've created enough parts and enough pieces that you're not going to be getting. It's just a fact. You're just not going to be getting as many original figures that are, the sole use of a mold, or very nearly the sole use of a mold. It's just not going to happen as commonly. So for that reason, these guys are number 10. They're great figures. I gave them high marks, and I'm glad to have them. So yeah. Moving on to number 9 on the list. We're going to go with Minerva. Minerva is actually a legacy figure. She's not even Legacy Evolution. But she didn't come out until, she sort of started coming out at the end of last year if you got her on Hasbro Pulse, but I didn't get her until 2023. So she's on the list because that's when I got her. I don't even think she got a review until like late January or early February, something like that. But her review is on the channel if you want to check that out. In my mind, of the 3 figures, and she has come top of mind recently when I did the Strong Arm review. And of the 3 figures on this body, with Strong Arm being a retool, I feel like she's the strongest one. Mark Mayer and those guys sort of claim that Elita 1 was always the original use of the mold, but we saw this version of Minerva in a comic book back in like 2021. And so I don't know if it's that having seen it in media bias, or just that I just feel like this is the best use of that mold. I guess it doesn't really matter. But this is the one that I do think is the best use of the mold. And I was very happy to get her. I do like getting my Japanese universe characters. So there you go, Minerva at number 9. At number 8, we're going to go deep into the bench here. Now, actually, we're going to go right to the front. We're going to go with Beachcomber. I think Beachcomber's a great little figure. He came out great. He's got his little parakeet, and he's just really fun to play with. The character's kind of a pacifist type of character. He's not a very powerful character or anything like that, but he's a great toy. So anyway, he's a great toy, and he completes the mini bots, helps complete the mini bots. We still got a few to go. Power Glide, Wind Charger, Sea Spray, Swerve, Outback. Gears is incoming, which will eventually get you Swerve. You've got Brawn here, which will eventually get you Outback. I might be forgetting somebody. I think that's it. I said Tailgate. So Wind Charger, Tailgate. So we're closing in on the mini bots. And Beachcomber is a nice, fun action figure to play with. Nice, fun Transformers figure to play with. So he is number 8. At number 7, we're going to go with the buzzworthy Bumblebee Origin release of this year. This time we're looking at Origin Bumblebee Jazz. This is in some ways, at least from the very front, you know, this Jazz looks better than the Studio Series 86 one. He has that kind of cartoon vibe, that G1 story Bible vibe. I don't know that I really feel like he's all that much of a better figure, but he has a really good look to him, and it's always a pleasure to get a Jazz on the list. I'm aware that he's using a Studio Series 86 Jazz Photon Blaster, but you know, I think it looks better than the black. The black is gang molded, so you know, they could have painted it, but they didn't. Maybe they couldn't have painted it, budgets and all of that. But, you know, I'm aware that he's not carrying the blaster that he came with. And yeah, he's a cool figure. Turns into a car. Really turns into more like a brick. There's no wheels. But, you know, works out in appearance. That's all you really, you know, all you really care about. And he's a dynamic and pretty posable figure. I don't know what else you could say about that. So there you go, Jazz at number 7. At number 6, we've got a definitely a sleeper hit figure. A G1 cartoon original made into an action figure. We've been getting more and more of those lately. We've got DevCon. You know, I think he's a great figure. He's a heavy retool of the Studio Series 86 Blur. And yeah, he's a lot of fun. He's one of the first figures I did stop motion animation for. And even Michael Charles Hill, the guy who created DevCon, is a member of our Transformers action figure group, and he commented on the video. So if you know, you can go check that out. So it's very, very nice to have gotten some love from the creator of DevCon, and you know, he's just a cool dude. He's off the beaten path, you know. From a play perspective, you know, if you're playing with your Transformers figures and making up stories with them, you know, DevCon almost has like a blank slate. We only know who we know about him from the Gambler episode. We don't know why he's a bounty hunter. We don't know what he does after he flies off with Slizardo. Lots of opportunity with a character like that. So there you go. That's your boy DevCon, number 6. At number 5, we're getting there. Number 5, the halfway mark. We've got our Dinobot release of the year. Leader Class Snarl. Snarl is a Dinobot. And the Dinobots are a big deal. You know, in the fandom, in collecting, you know, they're a big deal. And we are one away from having all 5. And that 5th member is Swoop. And, you know, from all indications, he's actually supposed to ship first quarter 2024. The normal thing for these guys, they ship, you know, end of quarter 2 or beginning of quarter 3. So they're completing Swoop, and we're getting them kind of early. So that's great. I would like to have all 5 Dinobots for a number of reasons. Snarls, you know, all the Dinobots are pretty solid figures. They've ratcheted, you know, they're nice to play around with. The transformations aren't too onerous, anything like that. What I would say for Snarl here is that he might have made a little bit of a higher appearance if they hadn't switched up the painted gold for gold plastic. I don't know what happened with that, but it sort of takes him a little bit off from the other Dinobots from an aesthetic standpoint. You know, obviously not so much. I'm going to complain about it. And maybe, you know, if I was decent at painting, you know, I could go and paint this stuff. I don't know if it's really worth all of that. I'd like it if they would just do it, you know, instead of sort of putting it on us to make them look like we want to look. But, you know, it's not a deal breaker. It's just, you know, slightly disappointing. But, you know, if there's a Dinobot and there's a top 10 Transformers list, there's Dinobot's probably going to be on it. So, you know, spoiler alert, you can look forward to Swoop in 2024. All right, we're getting down to it. We're inside the top 5. And I don't know if you guys have any guesses as to how this is going to go. But we're going to get there. We're going to get there. So at number 4, we're going front and center once again with the Macho Bot himself, Studio Series 86, Brawn. Brawn is, you know, outside of Bumblebee, and maybe like rarity-driven decisions like Cosmos, or in Cosmos' case also like sentimental decision. You know, Cosmos was one of the ones I had as a kid that my mom bought for me. And any one of the ones that my mom bought for me are always a little special. But Brawn here was always a favorite on the show. You know, always a favorite. Well, probably mainly because of the show, voiced by Corey Burton, and he's cool, man. He's a very cool figure. He came out pretty good. I don't know if I would say he's perfect, but he's definitely great. He's a great figure. I don't see too many people complaining about him. His size and scale is all on point. And he's ready to punch out some Decepticons. So there you go, number 4. Brawn. We're going to the top 3 now. Top 3. And at number 3, we're introducing the second Decepticon, final Decepticon in the group. At number 3, we've got Tarn, Comics Universe Tarn. So there was a slight debate. There was a little bit of a debate about whether I was going to use Tarn or whether I was going to use Bludgeon. They're the exact same figure, you know, other than paint apps and the fact that Bludgeon has a different head and a sword. But, you know, I have to go with Tarn because I feel no need to do anything to him to upgrade kits or anything like that. This is the character. This is the appearance from the comic book. Maybe if he was a tad bit larger, that's the only probably thing I could say. But as is, I mean, his size is fine. But yeah, he's a great figure. You know, he was obviously a popular character if you read the IDW universe, the version 1. You know, he was a pretty horrible villain. And even his death was satisfying. And then, of course, Hasbro has been using him in other adventures. They used him in Cyberverse. So he's reached outside of the comics. And that's always a good thing. Yeah, so, you know, Tarn is here because Bludgeon, I feel like I have to do something to make him not look so much like Tarn. Like get an alternate chest piece just to make him look like a different robot somewhat. I don't think you have to do much, but I look at Bludgeon and I just see Tarn with a bludgeon head. You know, people may differ with that. I don't know, but that's just how I see it. Tarn got the mold first. He came out first, and he was a big hit with a lot of people. So he is number 3. At number 2, you know, when no Megatron is involved, it always comes down to these two guys. For me, it always does. But at number 2, you know, I have to go with the hot hand. I have to go with the hot hand. So at number 2, we're going to go with that spectacular Transformers Reactivate Optimus Prime. I mean, this figure is the bomb. It really is. He's sort of a sized up Optimus Prime. He's even bigger than Optimus Prime, but it's clearly meant to be bigger. Why do I say that? Because, you know, here's your indicator. So he has the matrix in his chest. No surprise there. But this matrix is the exact same matrix that we've gotten ever since we started getting matrices with Earthrise Optimus Prime. So this matrix comes with Earthrise Optimus Prime, Hot Rod, Rodimus Prime, Black Convoy. I know I'm leaving people out. It comes with a lot of guys. A lot of guys. This specific matrix. I mean, it even comes with Galvatron, I think. And, you know, since they just used the regular matrix, they didn't create a bigger one to go along with the Optimus Prime. It's the exact same matrix, you know. Then he's clearly meant to be bigger, slightly bigger. And that's cool. I like it. But even if he wasn't, you know, the action figure itself is just stellar. It's spectacular. You know, it's what we kind of hoped for, in my opinion, in G1. Is this a G1 Optimus Prime? I would still say yes, but it's also a modernized G1 Optimus Prime. You know, I know a lot of people get down on G1 fans and, oh, they just want the same thing. I don't know if that's the truth. You know, I don't, because I don't feel that way. Do I like G1 and the story and the surrounding it and how it's, you know, how it's interpreted? Sure. But you can have an updated version of a character in there. And this Optimus Prime more than fits that bill. The Soundwave is actually pretty nice too. Maybe I should have at least made him an honorable mention. But I wanted to keep the honorable mentions down because, you know, I can go off on a tangent when it comes to Transformers. So this Optimus Prime is kind of all of it. And even if you don't see him in any stop motions anytime soon, you'll definitely see his laser blaster, ion cannon, or whatever you want to call it. I think it's a laser gun. That's what it was back in '84. That's what it is in my world. But it looks great, and it takes blast effects. So, you know, it beats the Earthrise Siege ones all to pieces. So there you go. Number 2, Optimus Prime from Recharge. Old Jazz took a dive, but it's okay because I think I'm gonna have to move some guys around for this one, for number 1, for the man himself. Your number 1 Transformer of 2023, according to what I got it figured. Commander Class Studio Series 86 Commander Class Ultra Magnus. So, why'd I pick him? The reasons are multitude. But let's start off with the most basic one. I did not get Armada Universe Optimus Prime. Just the idea of buying 2 Commander Class figures in 1 year is a daunting prospect in and of itself. And with my career change and all of that, I just wasn't able to pull it off. I have nothing against Armada Universe Optimus Prime, but what I do have is limited money, and so if it's a new Ultra Magnus or a Armada Universe Optimus Prime, well, Ultra Magnus is gonna win every time. He just is. Probably my favorite character in Transformers. Another sentimental favorite. And there's a history to it, but Ultra Magnus is the man. He's my dude. And this figure is the masterpiece Ultra Magnus shrunk down to Generations proportions. So he's, he's a mini masterpiece, literally. They made some changes, of course, to bring him up to a modern speed. There's some things about this figure that are better than the masterpiece. There's some things about the masterpiece that still, to me, work a little bit better. And when I get around to doing an actual review on them, both of those figures will be in the video, and you'll see what I mean, or at least understand what I'm talking about. Not gonna get into it here though. But what can I say, man? This guy's beefy, he's heavy, he's posable, he's accurate. He comes with a matrix. He also comes with a matrix. Same matrix. Blast effects. His arms and legs come off so you can blow him up like in the movie. And, I can barely keep him in the frame without moving the guys around. But he's great. He's all of it, People were talking about, some people I've seen, they prefer Armada Optimus Prime because they feel like you get a greater value with them. I don't know that I buy that argument, but whatever. I already technically own this figure. I have the masterpiece, so getting it in generation scale is awesome. Now, I do feel like he's too big. I've gone on record of saying that he is too big. You can already see he's too big. He's taller than Sludge. Excuse me, Snarl. He's taller than Snarl. He's taller than the Dinobot. He shouldn't be taller than the Dinobot. Even if he's taller than Optimus Prime. He's sort of like in the middle. You know, and as I've mentioned many times, I'm all about scale. I like scale. So, you know. But it's okay because the figure is so great that I can overlook it. I can, you know, I don't have to everything. It's gotta be scale. No, that's not a thing. But I do prefer scale when I can get it. But we're not gonna belabor that point. Ultra Magnus, awesome figure, and that's gonna be our top 10. All right, so I'm gonna move on to final thoughts. Final thoughts on the top 10 2023 Hasbro Transformers figures. You know, I don't know. I feel like I should clarify my statements. You know, I don't feel like what they're putting out is bad. I do feel like Legacy Evolution was more or less a rehash of Legacy, which of course was a rehash of Kingdom, Siege, and Earthrise. It's all homogenized now, and we're getting a lot more, you know, retools along the lines of Transformers. I actually managed to keep this list down to like very few retools. A lot of these are original. Even Tarn, at the time, you know, he was the mold bearer, the first one. But you know, as we go on, and I'll talk about this in my G.I. Joe Classified video as well. But as we go on, you know, we're going to see more and more reuse. And reuse isn't bad as long as it's done correctly. But it also has to be balanced with the idea that, you know, the figures cost more. So you're paying more. You're not even getting the original figure. Menasor got the nod for the figure of the honorable mention. But it was very disappointing that they couldn't complete the Stunticons all as their own molds. I mean, why do 4 and then not do 5? Same with Bombshell. Why did he have to have Shrapnel's legs? Now, it just goes, you know, they did a good job with the colors and everything like that. And you can actually switch them out. And they might be a little bit more accurate. But then again, I don't know that I would do that because, and I said I would consider it in the Bombshell video. But honestly, Shrapnel's feet are supposed to be purple. They are. Bombshell never had purple feet. So I don't know that I would need to really do that. But you can do it with a screwdriver. You can do that. So, you know, reuse is just going to be a part of it, right? Obviously, Death Source did not appear in this list, and he wouldn't, because I do not put Haslabs in the top 10 lists of whatever they come from. So, you know, his tank's not going to be in the G.I. Joe Classified top 10 either. But they probably both make figures of the year. You know, action figures writ large. They will probably get a place there. All right, so that's going to do it for this one. One down, one in the books. There are top 10 lists coming for Marvel Legends. Top 10 lists coming for G.I. Joe Classified, as I mentioned. I'm probably going to do a top 10 Star Wars action figures list this year. And then and that will include vintage and Black Series because I get a little bit of both. And then I'll do a top 10 action figures of the year. And ooh, that's going to be interesting. So yeah, so that's going to do it for this one. I hope everybody's having a happy new year. And I I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.
The way I got it figured.